The stars above Earth were calm, glowing with steady light, as if nothing unusual was happening. From the ground, people in villages and cities looked up at the night sky, unaware that far beyond their sight, something enormous was unfolding. At the edge of the solar system, a vast fleet had arrived. The Imperial Armada was a force that had conquered countless worlds. Entire civilizations had fallen within days when this fleet appeared. To most planets of the galaxy, the sight of their long black ships meant the end of freedom. The High Captain of the fleet stood at the front window of his flagship. He was tall, covered in ceremonial armor, with eyes trained on the small blue planet ahead. To him, Earth was nothing more than another target, another step for the Empire's endless growth. Reports confirm the humans are not spacefaring on a large scale, said his second-in-command. They have satellites, stations, and small colonies, but nothing compared to us. The High Captain gave a small smile. Then this will be simple. They will surrender the moment they see our power. All around him, screens showed the might of the Imperial Armada. Thousands of ships stretched across the blackness. Their hulls glowed with faint red lines, like fire frozen into steel. Carriers released waves of small crafts and heavy cruisers lined up in perfect order. This was not just a fleet. It was a wall of iron moving toward Earth. On the blue planet below, normal life continued. Families sat in homes, children played, workers returned from their day, and only a few noticed the strange streaks of light appearing in the night sky. They thought it might be meteors or satellites, not realizing what it truly was. But deep beneath mountains and under oceans, hidden places stirred. Humanity was not blind. For years, Earth had watched the stars. For years, leaders had prepared for the possibility of a day like this. They had built in secret, kept knowledge quiet, and waited patiently. In a vast underground command center, Commander Rafi stood before a glowing display. He was calm, his uniform plain, his voice steady. Around him, officers sat at stations, hands on controls, eyes locked on screens showing the incoming fleet. "The Armada has entered orbit range," an officer said. Rafi looked at the display of red dots that covered the sky above Earth. To anyone else, it would have been terrifying, but his face showed no fear. "They believe they are the hunters," he said, "but they do not know what waits for them." Above Earth, the Imperial ships began their slow descent. They moved like a cloud covering the stars, their sheer size enough to fill the skies of many cities. People finally began to notice. Videos spread across the world, showing black shadows drifting through the upper atmosphere. The High Captain ordered his first broadcast. Across every channel, on every device, a single message appeared. His image filled the screens of Earth. His voice was deep, heavy with the authority of someone who had conquered countless others. "People of Earth," he said, "you stand before the Empire. You will surrender your world. You will serve as subjects of Imperial law. Resist, and your planet will be broken. You cannot fight us." The message repeated in every language. Then the screens returned to normal. In the command center, silence followed. Officers waited for Rafi's response. He walked slowly to the center of the room, looked at the glowing map of the sky, and finally spoke. "They see Earth as weak. They believe our history ended when we left our caves. They are wrong." He turned to his team. "We will not answer with words. We will answer with what we have built." Above them, hidden satellites awoke. Silent stations under oceans shifted, their weapons charging. Platforms buried beneath deserts began to rise. The humans had not shown the galaxy their full strength. Not yet. But tonight, the secret would be revealed. In orbit, the Imperial fleet prepared to fire warning shots. They had done this on countless worlds, a simple show of power to crush the hope of resistance. But what waited for them on Earth was unlike anything they had ever seen. The night sky over Earth seemed unchanged to ordinary people. But to the soldiers in orbit and the commanders underground, It had become a battlefield waiting for the first move. Commander Rafi stood tall, his voice calm. "Hold your stations. Let them make the first strike. When they do, we will answer." The officers nodded, hands ready. The world above was dark and quiet, but in the silence there was strength. Humanity was prepared, and the Armada had no idea what storm was about to break upon them. The Imperial fleet moved like a dark storm around Earth. Thousands of ships formed lines that cut across the stars, and their presence spread fear in every corner of the planet. The sky itself seemed heavy as the largest ships passed above the clouds. In the flagship of the Armada, the High Captain stood with hands behind his back. He looked down at Earth, the blue and green world that he believed would soon kneel. His voice was calm, but there was pride in every word. "They do not understand what it means to face the Empire," he said. "To them, our arrival is the beginning of fear. To us, it is the beginning of order." His second-in-command, an older officer with sharp eyes, gave a small bow. "Shall we fire a demonstration, High Captain?" "Not yet," the High Captain replied. "First, we give them a choice. Fear grows greater when the enemy knows it has a chance to avoid destruction, but refuses it." A command was given, and at once the Imperial broadcast began again. Across Earth, in cities, villages, and remote places, every screen lit up. Every radio and signal carried the same message. The face of the High Captain appeared. His armor shone in the dim light of the command deck, and behind him, the banners of the Empire glowed with crimson fire. "People of Earth," he said, "the Empire has arrived. Your world is now claimed. You will not resist. You will surrender. Your leaders, your armies, and your skies. Those who serve will live under the strength of Imperial law. Those who refuse will be erased." The words struck across the planet like thunder. In homes, families watched in silence. In streets, crowds gathered around screens and listened. Fear passed from one person to another, but in certain hidden places, the reaction was not fear. It was focus. Deep beneath the mountains, Commander Rafi stood with his team. The broadcast had ended, and the control room was filled with quiet. Screens glowed, showing the Imperial fleet's movements above the planet. Officers watched for orders, waiting for their commander to speak. Rafi walked toward the center display. He studied the patterns of the Armada, their lines, their formations, their slow tightening around the world. To any ordinary commander, it would look hopeless. But Rafi saw something else. "They believe size is power," he said. "They believe that a wall of ships can crush the will of a people. They are wrong." An officer near him asked, "Do we respond to their broadcast?" "Commander?" Rafi shook his head. "Not with words. They want us to beg. They expect us to answer in fear. We will stay silent." The officer frowned slightly. "If we stay silent, they may see it as weakness." Rafi looked at him, his eyes steady. "No. They will see what we want them to see. And when they move, we will show them who we are." Above, the High Captain grew restless. The humans had not answered his message. No words of surrender, no signs of panic, not even a weak reply. He turned sharply to his second-in-command. "Strange," he muttered. "Other worlds rush to beg for mercy. These humans are quiet. Perhaps they do not understand our words," the officer suggested. The High Captain shook his head. "No, they understood. They stay silent because they still believe they have hope. We will take that away." He gave his next command. "Fire a warning shot." At once, one of the great Imperial warships prepared its weapons. A giant cannon rotated, glowing with fiery light. The weapon locked on a small asteroid drifting near the moon. In one blinding blast, the asteroid shattered into dust. The pieces scattered like sparks across the void. From Earth, many saw it as a bright flash in the sky. To the ordinary people, it was a frightening sight. To the Empire, it was a reminder of their strength. But in the underground command center, no one trembled. The officers watched the flash, then turned back to Raffi. "They are ready to strike at us," one officer said. "Let them," Raffi replied calmly. Above Earth, the Imperial fleet tightened its grip. Smaller crafts spread out, forming lines over the continents. Drones began to scan the surface, recording images of cities and military bases. The Empire wanted the humans to feel surrounded, to see no way out. But the humans had seen this coming. For years, they had watched the skies, hidden their projects, and built quietly. Beneath oceans, mountains, deserts, and even the far side of the moon, Earth had been preparing. The High Captain gave another order. "Transmit again. Tell them. Their time is almost gone. One final chance." The broadcast filled the world once more. His voice carried through every home, every city, every device. "People of Earth," he said, louder this time, with anger behind his calm. "You do not answer. This is your last warning. Kneel now or face destruction. The Empire is patient, but not merciful." When the message ended, silence returned again. Across Earth, people waited. Some prayed, some wept, some clenched their fists. In the command center, Raffi finally spoke. His voice was clear, steady, without fear. "They believe patience makes them strong. They do not see that patience is what made us stronger. They will learn soon enough." Around him, the hidden defense grid continued to wake. Satellites armed. Themselves, drones stirred in silence, and stations deep under the oceans rose from their hidden docks. Earth was not what the Empire believed. The storm was almost ready. The sky above looked calm to the people on the ground, but to those who watched carefully, the world was waiting for the moment when the first shot would come. And when it did, the answer would be nothing like the Empire expected. The Imperial Armada had surrounded Earth like a steel cage. Thousands of ships formed perfect lines above the blue planet, their weapons glowing faintly as they waited for the order to fire. To the Empire, this was just another step, just another world that would bow like all the others. Inside the flagship, the High Captain stood tall, his voice steady as he gave the command. "Begin the first strike. Let them understand that resistance is hopeless." A group of heavy cruisers broke formation and pointed their weapons toward Earth. The first targets were not cities, but empty places. The Empire often began this way. They destroyed mountains, oceans, or deserts before they destroyed people. It was meant to terrify, to break the spirit of a world before the true fight began. The cannons fired. Great beams of energy lanced through, the void tearing across the sky. From the ground, people saw flashes of red and gold as the beams struck high above the atmosphere. The noise followed a moment later, rolling across the air like thunder, but the beams did not strike the surface. Instead, something else happened. The sky lit up, and shields shimmered into place. Invisible lines of defense, hidden for years, now revealed themselves. The energy blasts broke apart harmlessly, scattering into sparks that faded into the air. The people of Earth stared upward in disbelief. The Armada's first strike had been stopped. In the underground command center, Commander Raffi gave a single nod. His voice was calm as he spoke. "Phase 1 is holding. Prepare for Phase 2. Around him, officers moved quickly, their fingers dancing across controls. One officer reported, "All defense satellites online. Ocean platforms rising. Drone swarms ready for launch." "Good," Raffi said. "Now we show them what they fear the most. A world that refuses to kneel." Above, the High Captain leaned forward, eyes narrowing as he watched the failed strike. His voice grew sharp. "What is this? How can a primitive world block our fire?" His second-in-command studied. The glowing shield lines around Earth. It seems they are not as weak as we believed. Their defenses are hidden, but advanced. The High Captain slammed a fist against the arm of his chair. Then we crush them. Send in the second wave. Break their shields. Break their hope. But before the second wave could begin, Earth answered. From behind the moon, long hidden stations came alive. Beams of light brighter than stars cut across the blackness. They struck the first line of Imperial ships with deadly precision. In a single moment, 3 cruisers exploded, their wreckage spinning into the void. From under the oceans, platforms rose like towers of steel. They opened fire, sending arcs of energy through the atmosphere that locked onto Imperial drones. Hundreds of them fell from the sky, their engines burning out before they could even reach the ground. And from secret hangars hidden on continents, swarms of human drones launched upward. They were small, fast, and agile. Unlike the heavy Imperial fighters, these machines moved like schools of fish, weaving between enemy fire and striking at weak points. In the flagship, alarms blared. The Empire had expected surrender, not this. Officers shouted reports of ships breaking apart, of drones cut to pieces, of defenses stronger than predicted. The High Captain's face twisted with disbelief. This is not possible. They were supposed to be unprepared. His second-in-command spoke carefully. It seems, High Captain, that Earth has been preparing for us. On the surface of Earth, people stood in the streets and fields, watching the sky light up. They saw flashes of fire and falling debris, streaks of light that marked battles above their heads. Fear was still there, but something else grew with it. Hope. For the first time, they realized the Empire could bleed. In the command center, Raffi did not smile, but his eyes held firm resolve. They thought we would panic, he said. Instead, we fight. An officer turned to him. Commander, shall we press the attack? Raffi raised a hand, calm even in the storm. Not yet. Let them feel the weight of their mistake. Let them see that Earth is not a helpless world. When they try to recover, then we strike harder. Above, the Imperial fleet scrambled. Lines broke apart as ships tried to avoid the fire coming from every direction. A second wave was launched, but even those ships faced resistance from the hidden grid that wrapped Earth like armor. The first battle was short, but it was clear. The Armada had failed to crush Earth in its opening strike. Instead, it was Earth that had drawn first blood. The High Captain clenched his fists, his pride shaking as his fleet staggered. He had come to Earth expecting another easy conquest. But now, as wreckage drifted around him, he understood that this planet was different. This is not finished, he growled. We will break them yet. No world defies the Empire. But in the silence of the command center below, Raffi gave a quiet reply, as if speaking to the stars themselves. And no empire breaks the will of Earth. The first strike was over, and humanity had shown its strength. The battle had only just begun. The first exchange had shaken the Imperial Armada. Their opening strike, meant to frighten and crush, had been stopped by hidden shields. Their second move, meant to destroy those defenses, had been broken by fire from the moon, the oceans, and swarms of human drones. For the first time in generations, the Empire's fleet faced an enemy that did not collapse at the first blow. In the flagship, the High Captain stood rigid, his voice sharp as he demanded reports. Status of the first line? An officer replied. Quickly, his voice tight with fear. 3 heavy cruisers destroyed, 5 damaged, drones reduced by 30%. Their counterattack is more advanced than we believed. The High Captain glared at the screens that showed wreckage floating above Earth. To him, this was not just battle damage, it was humiliation. We are the Empire. No world has ever resisted us. These humans will not be the first. But far below, in the hidden command center, Commander Raffi watched with calm eyes. Around him, Officers gave updates on Earth's defenses. The shields held strong, the drones fought with precision, and the orbital weapons were striking targets with accuracy that stunned even their own crews. Raffi raised his hand for silence. The Empire now knows Earth is not helpless, but we must not stop here. We have shown we can defend. Now we show that we can strike. A quiet energy filled the room. The officers nodded. They had waited years for this moment, training in silence, building in secrecy. Now their chance had come. Prepare the second wave, Raffi ordered. Activate the deep platforms. Release the sky lances. Across the world, hidden weapons stirred. From deserts, vast towers rose and unfolded, their tips glowing with stored energy. From beneath polar ice, launch bays opened, sending swarms of drones streaking into the sky. From the dark side of the moon, long cannons charged, their barrels lined with light like the dawn of a star. Above, the Armada adjusted its lines, preparing for another attack. The High Captain gave the order to advance. Crush their defenses. Burn their skies. Leave nothing standing. The Armada surged forward, ships glowing as their weapons charged. But before they could fire, Earth answered. The first sky lance fired from the desert. A bolt of white energy shot upward, faster than sight, striking an Imperial battleship. The great ship broke apart in a brilliant flash, fragments spinning outward like sparks. Then the ocean platforms opened fire, releasing streams of guided missiles that streaked into the heavens. They curved through space with uncanny accuracy, diving into the sides of heavy carriers. Explosions tore through the fleet. The moon cannons followed. Their blasts lit the blackness, slicing through shields as if they were paper. A formation of destroyers vanished in seconds, their remains scattering into the void. From the surface, the people of Earth saw the sky come alive. Bolts of light streaked upward, trails of fire crossed the night, and falling debris marked the end of Imperial ships. For the first time, cheers rose from cities and villages. Humanity had struck back, and the world itself roared with defiance. In the flagship, alarms rang across every deck. Officers shouted over one another as the screens filled with reports of ships destroyed and lines broken. "High Captain," one officer cried, "the humans are not only defending, they are attacking with full force." The High Captain gritted, his teeth. "Impossible. They are not a galactic power. They should not have this strength." "They do," his second-in-command said, his voice grim, "and they are using it well." The High Captain slammed his hand against the console. "Then double our fire. Send in the inner fleet. We will bury them under our numbers." The Armada pressed forward, but the fight no longer looked like conquest. It looked like desperation. The humans had turned the battlefield into a trap, and the Empire had flown straight into it. Back in the command center, Raffi watched calmly as the data came in. Every destroyed ship, every broken line, every retreating drone was recorded, yet his voice remained steady. "Do not chase them too far," he said. "Hold our formation. We are not here for pride. We are here to defend our home." The officers obeyed, keeping their fire controlled and precise. Humanity did not waste shots. Every strike was chosen with care, every move meant to weaken the Armada further. Above, the battle raged on. Imperial ships exploded in flashes of red and orange, their wreckage falling into the pull of Earth's gravity. Human drones darted between the larger ships, hitting weak points and vanishing before enemy fire could lock on. For the first time in living memory, the Empire faced defeat in open battle, and it was not at the hands of another empire, but at the hands of the people they had called fragile, backward, and weak. The High Captain could not believe what he was seeing. His fleet, the pride of the Empire, was being torn apart in minutes. Rage filled his voice as he shouted, "This is not the end. I will not allow this world to stand." But far below, in the calm of the underground command center, Raffi gave the order that would be remembered for generations. "Hold the skies," he said. "Let them learn that Earth does not break." The second wave was complete. Earth had answered, and the Armada was bleeding. The galaxy would soon hear of this night, the night when humanity showed its true strength. The battle above Earth grew fiercer with every passing moment. What had begun as a confident display of Imperial power was now turning into chaos. The blackness of space burned with fire, streaks of light, and the wreckage of fallen ships. The Imperial Armada, once a wall of iron, now looked scattered and wounded. Lines that had been perfect broke apart as ships tried to dodge incoming fire. Smaller crafts darted in every direction, searching for safety where there was none. In the flagship, the High Captain's face grew dark. His pride was cracking under the weight of failure. "Hold the lines," he shouted. "Reform the fleet. Crush their defenses at all costs." But his orders met resistance. Officers gave him reports that grew worse by the minute. "Shields are failing across the forward fleet. Casualties rising, drone swarms nearly gone, losses are beyond expectation." The High Captain clenched his fists. "No, this cannot be. No single world can do this to the Empire." Yet it was happening. On the ground, the hidden command center filled with steady voices and controlled movements. Commander Rafi stood in the center, calm as always, though his eyes burned with focus. His officers delivered updates with precision. Moon. Cannons still active, ocean platforms holding, drone swarms at 70% strength. Enemy losses high. Rafi gave a single nod. "Keep our fire controlled. Focus on their command ships, break their leaders, and the rest will scatter." Above, the human drones moved with speed that surprised even their makers. They darted between, heavy cruisers, striking engines and weapons with small but deadly blasts. The larger Imperial fighters could not keep up. Precision defeated size, and every passing second tilted the battle further in Earth's favor. The Armada responded with fury. Massive beams lit the sky, tearing through Earth's shields. Some defenses fell, platforms cracked, and drones were lost. The Empire still had numbers, and their weapons carried terrible strength. In cities and villages, people saw pieces of wreckage fall like burning stars. Some buildings shook with the impact of debris. Fear spread, but hope remained. For every falling ship from Earth's defenses, 10 more Imperial vessels burned in the heavens. The High Captain grew desperate. His voice thundered across the flagship. "Deploy the core fleet! I want every battleship in range! We will drown this world under fire!" The core fleet moved forward, massive ships glowing with energy. Their weapons burned bright, releasing blasts that shook Earth's shields. For a moment, the skies filled with red, and the Armada seemed to surge back with terrible force. In the command center, officers reported damage. Shields dropping in Sector 3. Desert lances offline. "Losses increasing." Rafi's voice was steady, but his decision carried weight. "Activate the reserve line. Bring the orbital nets online." High above Earth, a new defense revealed itself. Dozens of small satellites linked together, forming a net of light that stretched across the skies. When the core fleet fired again, their beams scattered against the glowing web. The energy spread and vanished, leaving the ships unharmed. Then came Earth's counterstrike. The orbital net shifted, releasing bursts of power that shot downward onto the Armada. Whole groups of ships fell in seconds, caught in the sudden storm. On the flagship, the High Captain stared in disbelief as his fleet broke further. "What is this power? How could they have hidden this from us?" His second-in-command spoke with a heavy voice. "They prepared in silence. They were waiting for us." The High Captain's pride twisted into rage. "No world waits for the Empire. No world dares resist." But his words no longer carried the same weight. Across the Armada, captains fought to keep order, but fear spread faster than commands. They saw their strongest ships fall, their lines broken, their power questioned for the first time. Back on Earth, Raffi gave his next order. Focus fire on the center. Break them where they are strongest. Make the Empire see what it means to face humanity. The concentrated strike began. Every cannon, every drone, every platform turned toward the core of the fleet. Blasts of light filled the heavens. One by one, the Imperial battleships fell, their explosions lighting the sky like new suns. The people of Earth saw it. From rooftops, fields, and mountains, they watched the armada crack apart. Cheers rose across the world. Fear turned into strength, and strength turned into pride. In the flagship, silence fell. The High Captain's officers looked at him with uncertainty. Reports continued to arrive. More losses, more wreckage, more failure. For the first time in his life, the High Captain felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. "We cannot win this fight," his second-in-command whispered. "If we remain, we lose everything." But the High Captain could not bring himself to admit defeat. "We are the Empire. We do not retreat." And yet all around him the truth was clear. His fleet was broken. His armada was no longer a weapon of conquest, but a scattered storm of burning wrecks. Below in the command center, Raffi stood tall. He looked at the display showing the fading power of the armada and spoke calmly. "The breaking point has come. Soon they will retreat. When they do, we let them go. We are not here to conquer. We are here to survive." The officers nodded, their faces lit with pride. Earth had stood against the greatest fleet of the Empire and broken it in minutes. The battle was not yet finished, but the outcome was already certain. Above, the armada staggered, its power shattered, its pride crushed. The High Captain's voice filled the flagship, but it no longer carried the strength it once had. "This is not the end," he said, almost to himself. "The Empire does not fall." But in his heart, he knew the truth. The Empire had already fallen, at least here in the skies above the one world that refused to kneel. The remnants of the Imperial Armada drifted in space, their formations broken and their pride shattered. Explosions still floated in the void as the ships tried to recover, but every move they made was met with calculated precision from Earth's defenses. Humanity had not only survived the first strikes, they had dominated the battle. In the flagship, the High Captain's face was pale, his hands trembling as he gripped the control console. He had expected fear, surrender, and obedience, but all he found was defiance. His ships had been destroyed, his strategies countered, and his fleet scattered. "Report!" he barked. "Captain," an officer stammered, "we have lost more than half of the fleet. The remainder is damaged and cannot regroup without retreating." The High Captain slammed his fist against the console, his voice shaking with anger. "Retreat is forbidden. The Empire cannot bow to a single world. We must continue the attack." His second-in-command spoke carefully, his voice quiet but firm. "High Captain, if we continue, we will lose everything. The humans are not only defending, they are striking with full strength. We have no advantage left." The High Captain's pride struggled against reality. Finally, he whispered, "Then we will retreat, but they will pay if they survive this day." Below Earth, Commander Raffi watched the final phase of the battle unfold on the central display. The Imperial fleet was in full retreat, and yet Raffi gave no celebrations. He knew the fight was not over until every threat had passed and Earth's safety was fully secured. "Maintain our defenses," Raffi ordered. "Do not allow a single ship to return to strike again. But do not waste resources on destruction. Show them strength, not vengeance." The officers nodded, their movements precise. Satellites adjusted their positions to cover escape routes. Drones flew in formation to block retreat paths, and orbital weapons remained ready to fire only if necessary. From the ground, people watched the sky. Many thought the battle was over, and for a moment the air was filled with relief. But in cities, farms, and small towns, the hidden stations and platforms still hummed with energy. a quiet proof of humanity's preparedness. The Imperial fleet, realizing Earth's defenses could not be broken, began to pull back. Lines of ships retreated, damaged hulls glowing with energy shields attempting to protect their crews. What the Empire had assumed would be a simple conquest had become a nightmare. In the flagship, the High Captain sent a final message. Across the void, it reached the command center on Earth. "Humans," he said, his voice tight. "You have proven stronger than expected. The Empire will withdraw. Consider this a warning. Do not test us again." Rafi stood calmly as the message played. He did not smile. Instead, he gave a simple response. "Your warning is noted. You have seen the strength of Earth. You now know that we will defend our home with every resource we have. Do not return." The officers recorded the message and sent it across every channel. It was not a declaration of war, but a statement of truth. Humanity did not seek conquest, but it would never bow. Across the galaxy, distant observers would later describe the event as the day a small blue planet crushed the pride of an empire. It was not the largest battle ever fought, but it was proof that size and numbers did not always win. Courage, strategy, and unity could change the course of fate. In the command center, Rafi turned to his officers. "Prepare for cleanup operations. Rescue any stranded ships. Monitor the fleet's retreat. We will not attack them, but we must ensure they cannot return immediately." The officers moved quickly, tending to Earth's scattered drones, checking shield systems, and keeping watch on the distant armada. Humanity's victory was complete, but Rafi knew vigilance was essential. Above, the sky cleared as the last Imperial ships vanished into the darkness. The night seemed calm again, but the memory of fire and energy streaks remained. Humanity had shown its power and its restraint at the same time. On Earth, people returned to their lives, some still gazing at the stars, others sharing stories of the strange lights in the sky. They did not know the full scale of the battle, but they understood one thing. Their world had been tested, and it had survived. Rafi looked out at the map of space, his hands resting lightly on the console. "They will speak of this day," he said softly. "And when they do, the galaxy will know the truth. Humanity does not seek war, but if war comes to us, no empire can stand against us." The officers nodded. The fleet was retreating, the skies were safe, and Earth remained free. Humanity had delivered the final proof, not just through weapons or strategy, but through courage, discipline, and unity. For the first time in history, a human commander had faced the greatest fleet in the galaxy and forced it to retreat. The Empire had underestimated a species that had built, planned, and prepared in silence. Now the galaxy would remember Earth not as a weak world, but as a force to be respected. The night was quiet, the stars above shining as they had for millennia. Yet the memory of the battle and the lesson it carried would last forever. Earth had not only survived, it had proven its strength to the universe. The Imperial Armada was gone. The stars above Earth were calm once more, the void between worlds empty of enemy ships. The great battle had ended, but its impact would be remembered forever. Humanity had faced the greatest fleet in the galaxy and forced it to retreat in minutes. In the hidden command center, Commander Rafi watched the final readings on the display. Every Imperial ship that had survived was moving away, retreating toward distant sectors of space. The galaxy had witnessed the strength of a species it had underestimated for centuries. Rafi turned to his officers. "Earth is safe. The Armada has been forced to withdraw, but we remain vigilant. We must ensure no ship returns unexpectedly." The officers nodded, their faces calm but proud. They had seen history unfold. They had been part of the defense that would be remembered across generations. Outside, the people of Earth continued their lives. Farmers tended their fields, children played in the streets, and cities slowly returned to normal. Though some had seen fragments of the battle in flashes of light across the sky, most remained unaware of the full scale of what had happened above. Raffi knew that history would soon tell the story. He looked at the stars and thought of the countless civilizations that had bowed to the Empire before. Earth had not bowed. It had stood strong, not with reckless anger, but with discipline, courage, and planning. Far across the galaxy, news began to spread. Other worlds whispered about the blue planet that had defied the Empire. Merchants, explorers, and even distant scientists spoke of Earth not as a weak backwater, but as a world of formidable intelligence and courage. The story traveled faster than light, a warning and a lesson to anyone who might underestimate humanity in the future. Back in the command center, Raffi and his officers began their after-action operations. Satellites were checked, drones repaired, and any remaining debris from the Armada was safely neutralized. Every system that had fired in defense was carefully assessed, ensuring that Earth remained prepared for any future threat. One officer asked quietly, "Commander, do you think they will ever return?" Raffi considered the question for a moment. "Perhaps. But if they do, they will face the same truth they face today. Earth is not a world to conquer. They will remember what happened and think twice." He walked toward a large display showing the solar system. The blue planet shone softly against the blackness of space. "This victory is not just about force," he said. "It is about knowledge, preparation, and unity. Humanity has proven that together we are unstoppable when defending our home." The officers nodded, inspired by his words. They had fought not for glory or conquest, but to protect the people of Earth. Every calculation, every drone, every weapon had served the purpose of defending life, not destroying it. Above, the night sky slowly returned to its peaceful state. Satellites and platforms resumed their quiet watch, keeping vigilance over a world that had earned respect across the stars. For those who looked up, the night seemed ordinary, but to those who understood, it was a reminder that Earth had survived, a challenge that few could imagine. In distant sectors of the galaxy, Imperial leaders discussed the defeat. The High Captain returned to his council, his face grim and silent. For the first time, the Empire had encountered a species it could not intimidate with numbers or power. It was a lesson that would spread across the fleet for years to come. Back on Earth, ordinary life continued, but the people had changed. They knew, even if only in small ways, that their world was stronger than anyone had thought. The battle had united them, proving that courage and intelligence could overcome even the most overwhelming odds. Raffi walked to a small observation window, looking up at the stars with quiet satisfaction. "We did not seek war," he said softly. "We sought only to live in peace. Yet when war came to us, no empire could stand against the will of humanity." His officers joined him, watching in silence. The blue planet beneath them was whole, safe, and free. The victory had been swift, precise, and decisive, but it was more than just a military achievement. It was proof of a truth that could never be taken away. Humanity was a species that refused to be ruled, a species that would fight for its home with unwavering courage. The Armada had been crushed, but the story of Earth's strength had just begun. Across the galaxy, planets would remember that a small blue world had defeated the greatest fleet in minutes, teaching a lesson of courage, strategy, and unity. And on Earth, life moved on quietly. The people returned to their work, their families, and their homes. Children laughed in the sunlight, unaware of the battle that had raged above them. Yet their world was safe because humanity had stood together, showing that even in the face of the greatest threat, courage and unity could not be defeated. Commander Raffi turned one last time to the stars. "Earth is free," he said, "and as long as we stand together, no one can take that away." The galaxy would remember that night. The Empire had learned, and humanity had proven its strength. The lesson was clear. Earth was not to be underestimated, and the people who called it home would always fight to protect it.